The Ike usage, pronounced Akushka, is an Irish spirit in the shape of a huge horse. But unlike your beautiful, strong cottage horses you see at the outskirts of your town, this steed is horrible. The creature hunts in the dark, covered by the shadows as obscure as the oceanic depths it inhabits. And it has full right to do so, as its appearance is a far cry from a beautiful Kelpie or Greek Pegasi or unicorns. Its half-rotten, decaying-looking body is covered in stinky, slimy coat, its mane twisted and tangled, filled with residual seaweed and mud. Its eyes glister with uncanny, almost demonic intelligence, letting you know you're fucked when you see this being and it sees you. But to effectively capture its human prey, the entity needs to beckon them closer to it. So close, they need to touch it. So how does it do it, if it looks like a creepy zombie demon horse? The answer is simple. As many other water spirits, Ike usage is an adept at the arts of changing one's form. This sneaky shapeshifter uses its watery sorcery to transform into a form so beautiful, it magnetizes and enchants, instead of bringing fear and disgusts. Instead of running away from the deedly water horse, the victim wants to come and touch it. But as soon as they do it, the magnificent disguise shatters. Glistering coat falls off, giving place to matted, decaying fibers, the foul-smelling mucus covering them sticking the unfortunate victim's hand or body, and instead of shining eyes of a living horse, dead, glossed-over eyes full of malevolent intent stare back at the frightened person. And before the victim has any time to react, the dreaded water horse gallops with them dragging behind, straight into the waver of the sea, where the victim is drowned. And the victim would be incredibly lucky if they die from drowning, because when this evil spirit horse feels like it often relishes in eating their victim alive, slowly tearing them apart, with the poor victim feeling every limb being torn from their body, before they succumb to the shock and blood loss. So, just in case, if you happen to live somewhere in Ireland and you see a beautiful horse grazing suspiciously close to the deep water, maybe the best choice is to walk way around.
Merrow is the term Irish people use to describe merfolk, be it female mermaids or male mermen. Both sexes of this mysterious kind can alternate between swimming in the depths, as well as walking on land. Like most mermaids and mermen, they enjoy singing, and their alluring voice can have magical, hypnotizing, or enchanting effect on anyone who listens. Morally grey characters in Irish folklore, most legends speak of them as affectionate and capable of genial love, be it for their own kind, or for humans. There were tales about Merrow women who fell for human men and Merrow men marrying human women and living in perfect harmony as husband and wife, despite species difference. But no matter how long such relationship will last, sooner or later, the Merrow will long for the comfort of the ocean they came from. And sooner or later that call will be stronger than their feelings for their partners. The source of their power is a magical cap they always wear on while in the water, and them taking it off allows them to assume human form and walk on land. Sometimes, the lover, knowing that without the cap their spouse cannot return to the sea, hides the magic item somewhere, preventing them from running away. When the longing for home becomes too much, however, the Merrow will sooner or later get their cap back, and upon regaining their possession, they return to the sea that calls them more and more each passing year. The music they play in their underwater kingdom is said to be heard even on the land. Sometimes the sound is accompanied by the mermaids and mermen dancing, sometimes on the shore, sometimes on the waves. While most female Merrow were seen as innocent tragic lovers, most Merrow men were feared. It was believed that they go out of their way to drown ships, and when its crew succumbs to the ocean, the mermen keep their souls captive. Most historians, though, seem to claim that these accounts were fabricated tales from the Brits who misunderstood real folklore, and native Irish people held no such belief. The Oilafeist is a giant sea monster. Described as either water serpent or water dragon, this Irish spirit of the deep usually appears in legends and fables as a monster to be slain and not much more. Some of the stories about this water serpent are pretty funny, like one tale about a drunk pipe player who was so intoxicated that when he was swallowed whole by the monster, he didn't even notice. The man continued to play on the instrument, unaware that he's landed in a monster's stomach and about to be digested. Soon the sound became unbearable to the monster, and it vomited the man back up on the land. Of course, the unbothered guy was still too drunk to notice that anything happened. Many beings of this kind are said to exist, and they can be both male and female. One of them is famed Chowranch, who became the mother of all the monsters, similarly to Tiamat of Mesopotamian folklore. She in particular seemed to possess some sort of magical powers. She was able to disguise herself as a small, hairy worm, and upon sneaking past a hero, transformed into her true form and attacked. The hero, who returned from a mission to kill a dangerous witch, was armed and able to defeat and kill the dragoness. It is believed that it is this legend that later was adapted by Christian settlers into the story of St. Patrick slaying a dragon.
Scottish legends abound with stories of benevolent Selkies, seal shapeshifters who walk on land as humans and fall in love with human men and women. But few people know about their darker counterpart, the Finn folk. In their human forms, they are tall and stern, with ever gloomy faces that never seem to smile. The beautiful female Finnfolk kidnap human men when they fall in love with them and imprison them under their underwater kingdom to be their lovers forever. The male Finnfolk, for the other hand, tend to kidnap the youth who were not wary enough on the sea, drowning them. Sometimes they lure them with their attractive voice and physique or offer precious gifts, only to grab the poor victim when they're close enough and drag them underwater with them. Sometimes they kidnap human women to be their lovers, or sex slaves. Sometimes they kidnap humans to be their unpaid slave labor. All in all, they are not really a friendly folk to humans. The underwater kingdoms they come from and live in are lush underwater palaces, filled with beautiful marine ornaments, but the beautiful crystal walls are not a home for their captive slaves, but a beautiful prison they can never escape.
The Kelpie are shapeshifters, whose true form is said to be that of a huge water-dwelling horse. Whether it's the creature's true form, or just the one it prefers the most, is unknown. Be it Kelpie's original shape, or just one of many alternate, this form is glorious. Majestic mare or stallion, standing at a river bank, or near a lake, its coat silky and shiny, its mane blowing gracefully on the wind. But woe to the one who will be enamored by such sight enough to come closer. The victim would feel inclined to mount the horse or just touch it. But if they do so, they wouldn't be able to let go of the creature. Once a human victim touches the creature, its coat covers with strong adhesive slime, and even if literal horses tried to drag the poor victim away, they wouldn't be able to let go. Once the unlucky man or woman is caught in Kelpie's snares, the supernatural marine horse starts galloping at breakneck speed to leap straight into the waters it calls its home, drowning the tempted victim. Do they eat them after they drown them? Do they use their spirits in some way? Do they keep them alive through magical means as slave labor? The accounts vary, but one thing is certain. The victim's body never gets found. But not everyone would be charmed by a sight of a horse. So Kelpie, versatile in their hunting strategies, often take human forms. Beautiful men or women are among the forms these water creatures favored the most. They go on to town looking for helpless victims to enchant, tempt and seduce, only to take them at the bank of their home river or the shore of their native sea. And you already know the rest. The legends of Kelpies serve as a bitter reminder that there's power in beauty, and that this power can and very often is deadly.
The words Nafar Gorm directly translate into the blue men, and rightfully for their namesake. The beings of this species resemble humans, but their skin is deep blue in color and their hair are overgrown with seaweed. These beings are incredibly territorial and wouldn't hesitate to chase off or even kill anyone who mistakenly wanders into their waters. And they have ways to kill you, 'cause they don't even need to touch you. They can command the waves and the winds, bring forth storms, hails, winds and whirlwinds to destroy or drown the intruding ships. More out of a need to test the intruders and see if they are worthy of being in their domain, rather than outright kill them for fun. That's not to say that they could be trifled with. Upon offense, or anything they perceive as an offense, they wouldn't hesitate to destroy your vessel and drown you into the depths of the ocean, for your body never to be found. The Knockin or Nixie are just two of many common names given to a water spirit of Scottish folklore, usually appearing in a form of a beautiful and enchanting male or female, but could transform in a huge sea serpent or dragon at will. The forms they take vary geographically and even from one account to another. They are said to transform into hippopotamuses, horses, snakes. Their abilities seem to be either limitless, or they are so numerable and varied that each subspecies or each specimen can shift into various different forms. But no matter what they can turn into and how many forms they would take, their most dangerous form is that of a beautiful, alluring humanoid. A pretty woman or a handsome man whose whole body radiates trust and attractiveness you cannot deny. They sing enchanting songs with otherworldly beautiful voices. They play instruments better than any human can ever learn. Their magnetic personality, their talent, their incredible looks. Everything about them screams aura farming. However, dealing with nixies is a game of chance. You never know whether you meet a benevolent Nakan, who means no harm, or a malevolent entity, who wants to grab you, drag you underwater, drown you and devour your lifeless body. Even the nixies who mean well will not remain with you for long. They may like you, they may love you, they may bear your children, but sooner or later their instincts will win and they will return to the waters that birthed them.
The Nukkalevi are horrible in every way. They look horrible, they are dangerous as fuck, and they don't give a flying fuck about who will they kill next. They are not a pleasant sight to behold. Their bodies look like a grotesque fusion of a horse and its rider, who in good old Cronenbergian body horror way God fused with his steed on cellular level, looking as if a man's torso grew out of a horse's back. If you think it's creepy enough, wait till I tell you. The entity is completely devoid of skin, with all the grotesque veins, vessels, and muscle exposed, covered by fish-like mucus, glistering like a fresh open wound. The dreaded abomination's humanoid part has no eyes, with 2 gaping, bloody holes in the place of sockets. The horse part, on the other hand, possesses 1 huge cyclopic eyeball in the middle of its forehead, allowing the creature to see. Other accounts place the Nukkalevi's single eye not on the horse's head, but in the middle of the humanoid part's torso, giving even further uncanny vibes. But the looks is just the beginning of the entity's dread. This entity does not resort to physical violence to kill its victims. It uses its highly poisonous, toxic breath that carries a terrible plague that makes everyone inhaling it falling sick and eventually dying. It could stample you to death, it could kill you with its humanoid hands, but it doesn't. It simply breathes death whenever it goes. The pure existential threat of this being, coupled with no antidote to its horrid weapon, nor any known way to kill or defeat it, would make an incredible Lovecraftian-ish horror movie theme, and I kid you not, I'm disappointed as hell that it still hasn't been adapted into one.
The Selkie is probably the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Scottish folklore, Scottish shape-shifting beings, as well as Celtic water beings as a whole. They've become so popular that even if you don't care about mythology, you must hear the term at one occasion or another. These beings are shrouded in equal mystery, romanticism, and tragedy. Most Selkies are women, but tales about male Selkies do exist. These are huge seals who can shed their sealskin to walk on land in human form. They are characterized by incredible beauty that can sometimes be their downfall. When a man who wishes to have a Selkie woman for himself manages to steal her sealskin while she's out in human form, he could supposedly bind himself to her, so that she would become his wife and never leave him. Even if the man's intentions are good and he just wants a wife that won't leave him, these intentions doesn't matter for the poor Selkie woman, who feels trapped in the relationships and always longs for returning to her rightful home at the sea. But this is possible only as she finds the sealskin her human husband hid from her. Upon the Selkie laying her hands on her skin again, the spell is seemingly broken and the seal woman is free to go away. Usually, she does. And then, she disappears into the sea, never to be seen again. Female Selkie stories clearly prove that no matter the hate the marine spirits get from humans, sometimes they indeed are the victims of human egoism and selfishness. Sometimes, humans are indeed the monsters in the story about non-human being. Male Selkie stories tend to be a bit less innocent. Male seal people are said to be seductive and alluring, but unlike their female counterparts, they take matters into their own hands, at times at the expense of the poor human women who fall for them. Usually all the sealman is doing is wooing, seducing, and making the woman believe they love them back, only to disappear into the sea. There are accounts of true, faithful Selkie men lovers, but these are much rarer.
The Urisk is a lesser-known Scottish water spirit inhabiting streams, lochs, and wells, but also waterfalls, usually depicted as gold, like with humanoid face and body, akin to satyr, is generally kind and friendly to the people. Other tales describe him as looking elf-like or spirit-like, so it's possible the being can shapeshift to some degree. Normally friendly to the people, the Urisk can be mischievous and play tricks on the people who didn't show him enough respect at his home place, or sometimes when he just feels like it. Not many tales and stories talk about human encounters with this being. It is much less recognizable than other similar water spirits like Selkie, Kelpie, or Ichuas, albeit this may be the case because Urisk is not said to be malevolent, and most tales of water spirits of the region seem to serve as cautionary tales.
The Kefildur is a water horse, much like Irish Icusage, or Scottish Kelpie, with one key difference. This being can also sprout wings and fly to the sky, linking it to not only water, but air element. This spirit of the deep who never sleep may not really be kind to you. In its spirit form it inhabits places like waterfalls and mountain rivers and pools. On land it assumes a form of a horse, beautiful, always with white mane and coat color of either black, gray or variations of these. In whatever form it appears to you, though, do know, I repeat, do not give in to the temptation to mount it. And you will for sure feel it. Once you lay your eyes on the majestic horse, its presence has hypnotizing effect. You will feel a great pull towards it. It calls you without words to come and sit on its back. For once you give in and sit on its back, it either galoops straight into the waters to drown you, or sprouts wings like a Pegasus and flies with you so high you no longer see the ground below, and then it disappears. It seemingly melts into the mist, and you, its unfortunate rider, are left alone, kilometers above the ground and falling to your certain death. Sometimes it would emit a soft, glowing, bioluminescent light out of its body, to appear interesting, otherworldly, tempting. Glowing horse is something you'd want to inspect closely, right? In the case of this horse, it's better to steer clear away, for your fate will be the same.
The Sihirath is a name associated with the Welsh equivalent to the Irish and Scottish Banshee, a disembodied spirit who announces death with a hollow, moaning voice. Legends speak of this entity inhabiting the region of River Tui in eastern Dyfed region. Though encounters from this being, or beings, also come from the banks of Glamorganshire coast. In any and every case, the voice of this entity is associated with the upcoming doom. If heard at the sea, you could be sure a shipwreck is happening somewhere nearby. Whether they themselves caused the casualties, or were they a mere messengers of the death, is unknown. As bodiless spirits, they could take on and appear in any form or shape they so desired. Most often appearing as a harpy-looking woman, with sharp talons for finger and toenails, long, black teeth, unkempt hair and large, leathery, bat-like wings extending from their back. Whether this is the real form they have in their spirit realm, or just the form they prefer to assume in the corporeal lands is unknown.
The Graige Danwen is a Welsh term for local water nymphs who live beneath the lakes and rivers. They are said to be beautiful and related to other fae folk of the Welsh, be it water-related or not. Translated to the ladies of the underworld, this implies that their domain may not be a physical underwater, but rather an ethereal otherworld that may be linked to the watery depths via a sort of portal, which fits the local folk narrative of the underworld and the place where spirits go after death, being supposedly located underwater. This actually explains the narrative that the beautiful water maidens are invisible to the humans, unless they willfully ascend to the physical realm. Very unique among the other Welsh water spirits, the water ladies, in that they do not appear to be aquatic and instead, at least on the land, but show themselves as fully humanoid women. Other accounts claim that they are a type of fairy that lives near the ocean, but not in it, separating it from the beings like Selkie or Kelpie. As we can see, their origin stories vary and may be a result of either misinformation, or confusing them with other aquatic spirits abundant in the region. They are said to dress in green clothing and be the only fae folk in the Wales that can actively cross between the mortal's realm and the realm of Anne, the Welsh underworld. But since this underworld was widely believed to be accessed through water, it is not impossible that these beings need to swim in there to get to their home. In their realm, they were said to herd the cattle, each of their cows being purely white as snow, without a single blemish. Some say they could move with their cattle to the mortal realm, and upon a human getting their hands of such cow, they could become very rich, because the milk these cows gave was otherworldly and unlike any cow will ever give in the human world. And this milk was not only delicious, but magical. It supposedly could heal wounds and illnesses, no matter how grave. Their meat though? It's impossible to get. Because these ethereal cows are impossible to kill, and any weapon aimed to hurt them will just pass through them, as if they were ghosts, another testament to their otherworldly origin.
Meet the Lamhijin YDWR, and no, it has nothing to do with llamas. The name translates into waterhopper, and likewise, the dangerous and malevolent entity attacks, by leaping at you from the waters. This being lives mostly in ponds and swamps and seems to prefer murky, or dirty waters when you wouldn't see it coming. It is described as a giant, legless, serpent-like frog with huge wings or wing-like fins sprouting from its back. When a prey item, be it animal or human, walks past the hiding spot of the being close enough, it uses its wings to propel itself from the water, leaping onto its victim, dragging it underwater and devouring them. It is said to prey on both animals and humans and do not appear sentient, like other water spirits. It was frequently blamed for the disappearances of both livestock and humans alike, that occurred in or around the waterholes and held no logical explanation at the time. Was it really the case? Or was another predator out for hunt? Who knows?
Mermaids can be both beautiful and deedly. Both kind and cruel. Meet the Morgan, the Welsh mermaids who more than anything, liked the idea of drowning the careless opposite gender. Some believe the original, first ever Morgan, was a human woman named Liban. She was a princess of Wales that drowned along with other citizens, when her city was flooded. It's unknown as to why she was the only one from all the people, who turned into a mermaid. Perhaps she already had some dormant genes, but it's just my speculation. It is her that was said to start the lineage of monstrous, but beautiful sea maidens. They are beautiful, alluring and tempting. They call out to human men, tempt them with their otherworldly beauty, voice, and eyes. Only to snatch and drown them when they least expect. Not only men could fall their victims. It could be entire villages or cities, when an enraged Morgan would break the dams using their water-controlling powers and flood the area. Much like the legend claims, the town of their ancestor was flooded. Some say the Princess Lee was not an innocent victim, but a cause of the flood, and that she herself transformed herself into a vengeful mermaid, in order to be the only one surviving member of the city. It was said she used magic to create the flood, being a powerful sorceress who could adapt to live underwater, while the rest of her folk died from drowning. Others claim it was the Queen Dahut of Breton that caused the flood just to transform into a Morgan, suggesting that the princess was innocent. Whatever the case may be, the Morgan loved drowning entire cities upon being wronged or disrespected. Sometimes, Morgan babies get carried away by the current and end up at the shore. When this happens, it's most often the fishermen who find them and adopt them, wanting to raise them as human children. Such children, however, always feel like the land is not where they belong, and upon reaching adulthood, often decide to come back to where they came from, returning to the seas, never to be seen by their human parents again.